After years trapped in darkness, Tladi camp residents in Soweto are finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel. For over 4 years, an entire Kasi has lived without electricity. They've experienced broken promises, all because of one house standing in the way. Picture this. The year is 2020 and you are promised electricity for your informal settlement. The city is ready to connect you to the grid and ready to transform your life. But there's one problem. A single brick and mortar structure is blocking the entire development plan. Refilwe Manka has lived in Tladi camp since 1998. She describes her frustration. We were supposed to be electrified by 2020, but we couldn't. We have been suffering because of one person. Tuesday, March 24th, marked a historic day. The controversial house was finally razed to the ground. Resident Thandiwe Shabalala did not hold back her feelings. The woman is selfish. Cars and ambulances couldn't gain access to the camp. All she wanted was to benefit. This wasn't just about one stubborn homeowner. City of Joburg, led by Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso, fought for years to resolve this peacefully. They successfully installed water and sanitation. But electricity remained impossible with that structure in the way. The battle went through the Public Protector, the Human Rights Commission, and eventually the courts. Family greed and conflicts complicated matters further, but justice prevailed.
Today we came to this informal settlement, which is called TPM, which is situated within the boundaries of Ward 21. So I'm with the Ward Councillor here. A few years ago, we came to introduce a process to formalize and upgrade this informal settlement. So in our process, we are then expected to provide and install services in the informal settlement, especially when we do our upgrading and the formalization in the informal settlements. We were successful in installing water and the ablution facilities, but we couldn't electrify the informal settlement because there was this structure, a brick and mortar structure, which was identified to be standing in a way for the electrification of the informal settlement, but two, for the construction of the access roads in the informal settlement. So we initiated engagements between ourselves and the person who was occupying the house, and the owner of the house then passed away, and subsequently to that, the family that took over the estate of the deceased, then they gave us a permission to demolish the house so that we can electrify and also construct the access road in the informal settlement. Then a relative of the family then came in to contest the demolition of the house. She took us to Public Protector, she took us to Human Rights Commission, and she was not successful in that, because we also had to provide an alternative site when we demolished the structure, which we made available in the layout of the informal settlement. But she continued to contest the demolition of the house to a point that we ended up taking the matter to court. Because we wanted to demolish the structure so that we are able to electrify the informal settlements, but also finalize our township establishment process, because we are submitting to planning so that we are able to formalize this area into a formalized and established township. So we couldn't do all those processes because this house or this structure was becoming an impediment to the work and the processes which we initiated. So we went to court. Then early this year, I think around towards the end of January, Then we were successful in court. We obtained the eviction and the demolition order. We then waited for sheriff to initiate their own processes so that we could come here and demolish the house. So as we are demolishing this house, now we are going to take back our application to ESCOM so that we are able to electrify the informal settlement. We are going to take now our submission now to planning department so that we finalize our township establishment process in the area.
Are there any measures that are in place that will be preventing this kind of things from happening in the future?
Yeah, well, in the informal settlement, it becomes difficult, because the area is informal and there are a lot of illegal activities that happens. But every time when we work and initiate our programs in the informal settlement, we engage with our residents. When we devise a layout plan, we engage with our residents. Before we approve it, it has to be consulted with the stakeholders and the affected residents in the area. So that's why most of the time we don't encounter such challenges, because we have engaged with the residents. But what compounded the problems here was that the person who was contesting the demolition of the structure was not the resident of the informal settlement. She had tenants that she had allocated into the structure. So everyone in the community wanted the house to be demolished except her, who was not the resident of the informal, and that's why we had to take the matter to court so that we are given a permission to demolish. But in other areas, because we engage with the leadership, we engage with the residents in the informal settlement. So when they know that this structure is standing in the way of a development, they all allow us to move the structure, because every time we attempt and we try to accommodate everyone within the space, especially when we develop the layout, because it will then show you the access roads where the infrastructure will be installed and all those things, so that by the time we engage with our residents in a form of recycling and reblocking them, at least they know that this particular shed is standing in the way of a development and it has to be relocated to elsewhere. So it becomes easier in that. But here it was difficult because the person was not the resident here. She had tenants inside, but she was contesting the demolition because she was making money out of it.
Mabaso's message was clear. If you stand in the way of development, we are going to deal with you, one way or the other.
If you stand in the way of a development, we are going to deal with you, one way or the other. I mean, we can't allow one person to hinder the work that we are doing, to be the stumbling block to the service that we need to provide to the majority of our residents. So everyone who wants to stand in the way of a development will then have to deal with that particular person, following our processes, of course, engaging with the courts, engaging with our legislation, so that we are able to deal with such elements as and when they arise, as and when they attempt to stop the work that we are doing on the ground. But we are not going to allow a situation where one person stops the development that is meant to benefit the majority within our communities.
How many tenants were living in this structure?
Well, they varied. This month you'll find somebody else. The following month there is somebody else. Because every time when they allocated people, we came to engage with them to tell them that this structure, in fact, is not supposed to be here. We are in a process of demolition. So make sure that you do not take here. So they were changing because she understood as well. This structure is not supposed to be charged. She made it a point that every time there is someone occupying this structure.
She had also illegally occupied it.
She had illegally occupied it, but because now she had taken the matter to court, she had taken the matter to public protector, she had taken the matter to Human Rights Commission. We had to respect those processes. We need to make sure that we obtain a court order through a court, so that when we demolish, at least we are not interdicted, and we are also the process is not contested in court.
So usually with an eviction, the city must then provide alternative accommodation. So was there alternative provided for the lady and the tenants, or how did that work?
Well, the alternative site was provided. It's here. It's there. The alternative site was provided to the rightful beneficiaries, of the deceased estate. The rightful beneficiaries of the estate. So that alternative accommodation was provided. The family even wrote a will. The affidavit in support of the work that you are doing here. The family of the deceased gave us an affidavit saying that you can demolish the structure. We are accepting the alternative site that you are providing to us. But as a relative of a deceased, she then contested the matter. She took the matter to court.
But even with that, aren't you still supposed to provide her with alternative because she was an occupant, I suppose?
No, she's not a beneficiary and she's not the occupier of the house. So if the rightful beneficiary says to us, you can demolish because you have provided a site, surely we will still engage with the rightful beneficiary. We are not here to accommodate her feelings, and to deal with and nurse her bruised egos. We are dealing with the rightful beneficiaries for the purposes of developing the area. So when the family says demolish here, we are accepting the alternative site. That's the process which we engaged on. Then she came in to contest them because they had their own family conflict that we could not get involved into. Ours was to make sure that we get the demolition order here, the eviction order here, so that we are able to remove this illegal structure here for us to develop the area. But the site has been allocated to the rightful beneficiary.
Today, Tladi Camp residents look forward to a brighter future, literally. With the obstruction removed, electricity will finally flow through the community. After years of darkness, light is coming to Tladi Camp.